Welcome back to the Irish Mags Show. It is episode 91. And dare I say it, get your bingo cards out for those of you who are transfer deadline day enthusiasts, because the transfer window has officially slammed shut, lads.
Woohoo,
I mean,
God.
it doesn't really slam shut. It's a metaphorical window, but it is officially closed. We are recording this barely 1 hour after the transfer deadline has closed on Monday, the 1st of September. And it's been another day of it for Newcastle United fans. I'm Paul. I'll be your host for today. Joining me, Mr. Alan Williamson, with his new computer up and running and not making any funny noises,
not squeaking.
which is always a bonus. And Mr. Chris Martin is here as well, lads. The three of us back again.
Yes, I love it.
Three of us.
I love it.
Not often we get that.
It's coming into the cold weather. It's nice and warming that we have the three of us together. Do you know what I mean? It gives me a certain glow, a certain sausage song. Yeah,
Alan,
I love it.
Alan, we were this close to selling Chris Show and we didn't get the paperwork uploaded in time.
There's a deal sheet. There's a deal sheet in place.
The Irish Bees wanted him for Brentford. We tried to offload him, just nowhere to go.
They told us to buzz off. Hello.
Hey. What a great start.
What a start to what as well. Look, lads, it's either the start of the end or the end of the start, because the transfer window is finally closed. And that is probably going to be the majority of what we'll speak about. We might have a chat about that Leeds game in a while, but the less said, the better. I recorded a podcast with True Faith after, and I feel we deserve a medal for getting 40 minutes of a podcast about that game. It was awful. So the less said about that game, the better, but we'll touch on it before we wrap up. It is the international break as well. Not much to preview, but we do have a lot to talk about based on events that have happened all fucking summer. There's one swear for the Jar Chris Show. 1 out of 15. Get that euro in the jar. And in particular, what's happened in the last few days since we recorded and today on transfer deadline day. And look, let's just start. Alan, get all your rap metaphors ready. Get all your Liverpool rage out there. They finally got what they want, which in Liverpool's eyes was we were holding Alexander Isak hostage, and now there's cartoons of shackles being taken off the striker that gets paid 140 grand a week to sit in his hole, not train and not play. But apparently we had the shackles on him, and in great humanitarian vision of the Liverpool FC fan community, he's finally free. Because Liverpool finally pulled the finger out, made that bid. I've heard 125 million. I've heard 135 million. I've heard 125 plus 5 plus 10 plus whatever. A British record apparently has been broken. Yep. Alexander Isak is gone to Liverpool. Alan, how do you feel?
Good riddance. He was an outstanding player for us. Let's not even try to bat around the bush there. He was outstanding for us. But once he refused to play for us, no point. Get him gone. Done and dusted. That's the end of it. So it's done and dusted. We've got 130-ish million. The one thing I'm happy about is we didn't have to pay any of his loyalty bonuses. That would have been an absolute disgrace. The whole thing of Newcastle holding him hostage, he never handed in a transfer request. If he really, really, really wanted that move, that transfer request would have gone in 6-8 weeks ago, and it would have been all over and done with. But he didn't want it because there was one thing on his mind, and that was the big old bag of money he was going to get. Hasn't really worked out for him because Newcastle put it into the deal. We're not paying you that money. So if he's not getting that money off us, it means Liverpool are having to pay it, which means the 130 million turns into about 140, 150 for us, because he would have got 10% of the sale, which is 13 million. He would have got his bonus for winning the cup. He would have got his bonus for getting Champions League, and he would have got his bonus for finishing the top half of the Premier League. All in all, it's an extra, say, 15 or 20 million on top of the deal, bringing it to 145, 150 million, which is exactly what we said we'd get, and we got. We've replaced him with two outstanding strikers in my eyes, so it's just good riddance. He's gone, and we're sick of him.
Yeah, chapter kind of finally closes, Chris Show. Are you in the same boat in terms of that sentiment of good riddance, especially after the shit that it's caused?
Yeah, I mean, I had a dream about Isak last night. I was lying there, I was kind of snuggling into my duvet, and I thought, is this real? Is this real? It was me and Isak, and he was like, I'm not going. I don't want to go. I've been misconstrued. I don't want to go. Christian, you have to tell people I don't want to go. I was like, yeah, sure, Alex. Yeah, no worries. Yeah. What? Who do you want me to tell? Well, can Keith Downey come in? And he was like, Christian, you're here live on Sky News. What's the story with Alexander? And I told him, and then I woke up in a cold sweat, and I woke straight up, and I was kind of, ugh. It was really early this morning, and I saw the news, and I folded up my away jersey with Isak on the back of it. Alan Williamson's right. Don't get a name on the back of your jersey. Folded it up, and I'm not throwing it out, but I'll probably sell it in 10 or 15 years on, football shirts.co.uk or something like that. But I folded it away. It is good riddance. Eddie Howe made him the player that he is. Yeah, he was tricky. Yeah, he was a bandy-legged Ethiopian. Good for him. Yeah, knocking about in Real Sociedad, scoring a couple of goals here and there, made Real Madrid look a bit silly, but consistently good. Eddie Howe made him consistently good. Eddie Howe doubled his value. We didn't lose Eddie Howe. We lost a player. So what? We've replaced him with two. Like, Wissa's a plug-and-play striker. If there ever was one, just put him on the pitch. It's like he's ready to go. And this other lad is going to be, we'll talk about him now in a minute, but he is going to be well handy. But yeah, it's a real shame. It's disgusting. And I'm trying not to throw too many negative vibes here, but it's disgusting that he went to Liverpool because it hurts my feelings because I know so many Liverpool fans and they're still like, they're trying to be humble. I hate when they try to be humble because that they're being disingenuous. They're like, oh, look, we've still got games to win. Well, not when you have the PGMOL and the PFA and the FA.
£457 million this summer. Summer.
Yeah, but Alan, they can't compete. They can't compete with the big guns. You know what I mean?
Our whole club was sold for 350 million a couple of years ago. Our entire club went for 350, and they spent 450 odd million this summer.
Here's the one thing that I think if I would have kept my eyes closed a little bit longer, a part of my dream would have included Ekitike crying in the corner, going, "But what about me?" So where the hell's he going to fit in? Are they going to play two up top? Are they going to push Ekitike out to the left? And not that we want to discuss Liverpool tactics here, but where the hell he must be thinking? Hang on a second, they just spent a British transfer record fee on Alexander, but unless he must have known that he was coming in, like he's going to play on the left-hand side or something. I don't know where he's going to fit him in. He's going to be on the bench. No,
I'd imagine he kind of plays a bit more on the left, but drifting in a lot more than what Diaz would have done, or even Gakpo. Similar profile. Gakpo's probably wondering, geez, what does this mean for me? Gakpo's a decent player. But you'd imagine it means Ekitike kind of gets pushed out. But I suppose we'll have to see.
Were you a bit annoyed that we didn't maybe look to get one of the Liverpool players in return, like Gakpo or Elliott or somebody?
I think it'd be very difficult to get them out.
Yeah. They'd have to be separate deals anyway, because PSR ruined all those swap deals anyway. But I wouldn't have wanted Gakpo because he's a left winger who can play up front, and we have enough of them. I wouldn't have wanted I don't want not their cast offs, because Harvey Elliott's a quality player. We're taking him, but we don't play a 10, so it's are you just taking him for the sake of it? So I don't really understand it.
Right. I think as well, with the nature of this deal, the club, Newcastle clearly were like, he'll go when we say he can go. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I kind of joked at the top of the episode saying Liverpool finally pulled the finger out. But I think all along they've been waiting for the official green light to go right. Yeah. Replacement is in. I think replacement has been the key here. So I think it's been all about Newcastle's terms, who were more than prepared to let it go to the last day. Before actually, I suppose it was midnight last night. I think Romano was tweeting about it and ruining all the suspense of transfer deadline day, as he does. But I think because they were willing to let it go to the 11th hour, whatever you want to call it, then that was going to make it even harder to have any other players involved. And then, as Alan points out, there's no such thing as player exchange anymore. No. And you do see deals happen where he goes for 60 and then this player's coming over for 20 rather than just being 40 plus. Because of PSR. So I think that's had a lot to do as well. And I think ultimately this deal, and it probably brings me on a bit sooner to the point I wanted to make, but I think this deal, like Philippe Coutinho, Jack Grealish, Moise Caicedo,
Declan Rice,
all these deals that were done for these clubs at mid-range clubs, whatever you want to call them, has sorted out their PSR issues, in terms of giving them a load of breathing space. Aston Villa now are falling back into a trap because they spent so much trying to
They spent
stay at the
ludicrously,
level and
though.
get. They did, and that's where they are now. What this does for us, like, I mean, top of our heads, lads. What's our record sale before this? Is it still Andy Carroll?
Yeah, I think so.
Do
Oh
you know
no,
what I mean?
Elliot Anderson took over.
Elliot
from
Anderson.
Andy. Yeah,
Elliot
sorry,
Anderson,
sorry,
right?
yeah.
For 30, 35 million. And like that was probably inflated at the time for him.
Yeah.
Not now, because we were like to that point about exchanges, we then went and gave 20 over for Vlachodimos just for PSR reasons.
Yeah.
So maybe, you know, in a different world, Anderson might have went for 20 or something. Do you know what I mean? It's so it's all a bit wild, but that's completely dwarf. We've just sold a player for 130 odd million. This is like uncharted territory for Newcastle United. It's shite to have to sell them to those pricks, to a club in the same league. The circumstances have been awful. Like we can, you know, no matter what way you look at this, you know, as we record this, it looks like the Mark Gay to Liverpool deal has collapsed. Mark Gay was probably training this morning for Palace, if not yesterday, right? Playing all the way to the end. Eze,
scoring for Palace, yeah.
Yeah, and like players who played right up to the end, you know, held themselves well, dignity, bit of pride, a bit of loyalty, and a bit of fucking respect.
Yeah.
And whereas we had a player who downed tools ages ago. Now we'll come to the Wissa situation as well shortly, in terms of him doing the same thing. But the whole thing has just been so sour for what should be an unreal legacy at the club. Well, if we could all sit here and say, look, Alexander Isak has gone to Real Madrid or Paris Saint-Germain, you know, he trained in the summer and he started this season and a massive bid came in and we sold him and he wanted to leave.
Delighted for him.
Do you know what I mean? It'd be like, look, you gave us 2-3 unbelievable seasons, best striker we've had since Alan Shearer. We've got a shitload of money for you, and you leave in relatively okay graces. We don't want to lose him. To go to those pricks and to be a prick himself has just really, really tarnished what he's done for the club. It's a shame to see it happen the way it's happened. And I just hope that if he's being interviewed in years down the line or when he hangs up his boots, that he'll look back and he'll go, do you know what? I didn't handle that very well. No,
I don't want to know anything about him. Honest to God, I like even the pictures of him now, you know, doing this and his pictures on websites. So I just can't even look at them now. And like the cheek of the BBC to put up that picture of him in a Newcastle jersey going like that to Eddie Howe with the team behind Liverpool team behind him. That's a disgrace. I don't see any other club getting treated like that. It's like as if some of the media in the UK, just because we're owned by the Saudis, they really, really savor and enjoy when things go wrong for us. They really enjoy it. They just
I wonder where that social media / graphic design guy is sitting. It would not surprise anyone that he's probably sitting in London, from London, and he's probably an Arsenal fan as well.
Yeah.
He or she. Yeah, it's poor. I hate these photos. I'm so sick of these photoshopped images as well of just randomers. It's just like everybody knows it's not real. Everybody knows the player hasn't even held a jersey yet. Never mind wearing one. It's absolutely bananas. But anyway, that's the world we live in.
The only other thing, though, just one
Yes.
thing. The 130 million. Now, I don't know how true it is. As you said, we're sorted for PSR. Looks like we're going to be able to spend between 600 and 700 million over the next 2 or 3 windows.
What?
That is 600 or 700 £100 million, and that's only capped at that if they don't change the loss amounts per season. So if they change it, it could go up to 8, 9, maybe even $1 billion. Would it be $1 billion?
But hang on, we sold him for 130, right? Your man was 69, Whistle was 55. I thought that was like
that's all. That's nothing to do with the Isak money. The Isak money hasn't come in yet. That's all last season's money, the Champions League money.
We had that to spend.
We had that to spend anyway.
Right,
so
got you. Okay.
The 130 million, we'd already we bought him for 70 million, say. We'd already paid off the guts of 45. So we only had a little bit left to pay off. So anything we get in, we can spend tenfold. It's gotta be good. It's
like
not
our net spend. I think our net spend for this window is about 60 to 70 million, something like that. I know the Oslo deal apparently has collapsed as well, and there was talks of another 25, 30 million there. But on the grand scheme of things, we've bought, Malik Chow, we've bought Voltamade, we've bought Anthony Elanga, Jacob Ramsey, and obviously Johan Wiss on deadline day. And we're going to come to all those in a minute. But despite signing those 5 players for fairly big fees, like we probably had that money to spend if Isak didn't go. And I think that's where Alan is getting at. Plus, add to the fact that we've literally made more than 100% profit on Isak for what we bought him for versus what we're selling him for. So again, that profit, when you think about the profit in PSR terms, that's where it actually allows you to go and spend a truckload more money. And the general really basic rule is like, if you make 10 million, you can spend 50, or it's usually 5 times. And then if you sign a player for X amount, you spread it over 6 years, and then that's, it's all this amortization.
That's why Chelsea does all these 7-year deals.
Yes, that's why they put everyone on an 8-year contract, and it goes very well when you sign Mikhailo Mudryk, and now he's never going to play football again.
A drug dealer.
Yeah, well done, lads. Anyway, we digress. We digress heavily. Yeah, look, it is the biggest thing for me here is obviously, look, the replacements are in, but the biggest thing for me is this is resolved. This is past tense. I saw somebody tweeted like, it'll be great for Eddie Howe not to be asked about this ever again. He may get asked once because the international break might delay questions. Hopefully he'll never be asked about Isak again, because he just doesn't need to deal with it. Eddie Howe needs to go manage his team. Eddie Howe needs to focus on the players he has, the players that want to play for Newcastle United, the players that want to continue improving under Eddie Howe. And had Isak just been hanging around after the deadline closed, that would follow us all the way through the winter, all the way through winter.
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the press officer just doesn't let them know beforehand. No questions about Isak. He's not interested, so he won't be answering them. So forget it.
There's only so much you can do when the topic is open. But now it's like, why are we talking? Eddie Howe can just say, I don't talk about players that don't play for Newcastle.
Yeah, exactly.
That's default response. Set up his auto replies.
Who's that Louise woman that's always asking those antagonizing questions?
Louise Taylor from The Guardian, I think, isn't she?
Yeah. Some people say she's a Sunderland fan. Some people think she's a Sunderland fan, but she seems to get right up Eddie Howe. Like when it turns to her, he doesn't even say good morning. He just looks at her. You know what I mean? Looks like he really doesn't like her.
Whatever silly topical thing is happening in the UK, she'll find a way to just bring in something completely unrelated to whatever match we have or whatever game is on or whatever situation is happening. She'll find something that's just not related to irritate anyhow. Anyway, again, we digress. The chapter is now closed. Isak is no longer a Newcastle United player. There'll be a lot of Isak 14 jerseys, probably like you, Chris Show, either being folded or being burned. And that is where we are. However, what we do have to look forward to is some fresh faces through the door, including a brand new one today, not officially yet announced by the club. So before we get to that, though, around the time we were recording last week, lads, it was just slowly breaking that Newcastle had signed. I was going to call it a new number 9, but he's our new number 27.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's as good as 3 9s, which is 27. Matt's much.
2 + 7.
Wow. Wow.
2 + 7 is
7 is 9, Alan.
Yeah. 9. And it's his mother's birthday. So hooray.
Yes.
That's why
exactly. So he is in the door, a club record fee. We're looking at 69 million pounds plus, something like that.
Yeah.
And we've not really spoken about him too much on the podcast. And look, it's all been announced. There's been images, a lot of YouTube compilations going around. I'm sure there was a lot of people that weren't aware of him. I had heard of him, let's say, in the last 6-8 months, particularly as he was breaking out in Stuttgart and then over the summer in the Euros. And for some reason, I from the beginning of the summer, it was just talk that he was going to Bayern. And I had just decided in my head he was either going to Bayern or gone to Bayern, and it was inevitable that it was happening. Yeah. So I never really ever considered that this was an option. And I think it caught a lot of people by surprise, Chris.
I did mention it. I did mention it 3 podcasts ago about you and Alan went, no, he's going to Bayern Munich. No, I'm not saying I pulled him out here of my list of players, but I saw it being mentioned, and then you were like, nah, he's going to Bayern Munich. But
I genuinely thought we were going to get Harry Kane easier than getting him, because I thought they'd take him on and let Kane go. It was genuine. I was like, Harry Kane would be an easier player to sign.
Because they lowballed him. I think they lowballed him. Bayern Munich.
50 million, I think. They were like, no, we want the 70. We went in. Seemingly, we went in at the start of summer, and they quoted 70 million and Bayern Munich 70 million. And we said, no, we're going to look elsewhere. But then when elsewhere turned into nothing, we went, oh, we'll take that 70 million off of there, and just went in and paid it. And that's the end of it. We have our striker.
And I think, there must have been a big conversation had here. This is where it comes back to, like Tonali, when Tonali spoke about coming here, where, he was very impressed with speaking to Eddie Howe. I've no doubt that conversation must have happened with Voltemati, because This guy isn't 19 coming in with aspirations and potential. This guy is 23. And he, like, right now as we speak, he's in the German national squad. He is like arguably their first choice striker in the formation to play. Kai Havertz has been, but he's injured now anyway, and obviously just doesn't score that many goals. So if you're Nick Voltemade and you're like, okay, sure, wouldn't it be great to go to Bayern, best club in Germany, winning everything, but I'm still going to be behind Harry Kane for at least a season.
Yeah.
There's a World Cup on next year. So I'd like to think, and again, I say this with no proof, we're not in the room, we don't know, and we'll never hear probably, but you'd like to think that a conversation was had with Eddie Howe to go, look, there's no reason why you can't be our first choice number 9. I have a few things I want to do with that. You need to settle in. We need to show you the system. We need to get you integrated with the players. But there's absolutely nothing stopping him from being first choice in a season where, as I said, the World Cup is on next summer. And he's going to want to play up front for Germany. And he's going to want to fucking do things. Because, again, he's 23. He's not a kid. He's ready to go. I also think that's another big plus in terms of us signing him. We're not signing... Like he, you can argue, of course, he's never played in the Premier League and he's still a lot to prove. And so some people are saying, 70 million for a guy who scored 12 goals last season. That's not really happening here. I don't think we're necessarily signing potential with a 23-year-old striker. We're signing someone who we think can potentially replace Alexander Isak. But I think we know what we're getting here because he's not fresh out of, he's not just in the scene.
He's only played 2 seasons though. I mean, he's only played one season for Stuttgart and 1 season for Werder Bremen and maybe half 3 or 4 games for Freiburg, I think. How many seasons what age was Isak when we got him? Was he 22?
Isak was 23. Isak had a terrible time at Dortmund. He had a terrible time pretty much. He then went to Sociedad and had 2.5 good seasons, and we bought him.
Right, okay.
What was Harry Kane doing at the age of 23?
He was playing
Leicester or Norwich.
Yeah, somebody on loan.
He was at Leicester on loan. So like you're not worrying about someone being he's not the real deal. Yeah, grand. Obviously you can have freaks in nature like the Nwanieris who are 16, 17 and are absolutely unbelievable. Certain players, especially with strikers, can take a couple of years. Look at Jamie Vardy. He's 106 years old and he's still banging in goals. Like, you could potentially you could potentially get 15 years out of Nick Voltemade and 50 or even 10 seasons at 80 million euro. Bargain. Absolute bargain.
Yeah.
You just hope, I think looking at the profile, they're like, again, I remember when Man United signed Rasmus Højlund. Right, Højlund was a lot younger than Voltemade is now, and had it even less. Like he did a season at Sturm Graz that went really well. Then he was signed by Atalanta, had a season there, did quite well. But like I think that was a little bit rushed for a massive fee. There isn't too much between them now in terms of like loads of experience and so on. But I just think there's an age difference here, bit of a profile difference. And this guy has been in around the Germany setup already as well. And the big thing that we can all fall back and trust, again, we don't want to spend the whole time talking about Man Red here. Man United signed Rasmus Højlund without any idea what the fuck they were going to do with him, clearly, because as of today, he's just gone out on loan to Napoli. They've gone and ruined another young player's career. Newcastle don't really sign players without a plan. And granted, we've had to scramble and maybe bring in a striker we might not have been planning to at the start of the summer. But maybe that's why it took us so long to replace Alexander Isak, because we weren't just going to sign anyone. We've had bids here and there, but I'm sure there's a big plan for this guy. I have every faith in Eddie Howe's plan.
That's one thing we also have that other clubs don't have. Like Man United had 15 different coaches and all that. We've Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe has a track record of getting a player, making him better.
Yeah.
Every confidence in Eddie Howe making Nick Voltemade a better striker. He's done it with pretty much every player he's had so far, at Newcastle especially. Hasn't really put a foot wrong in the transfer market, so I'm 100% confident that this will go well again. So
I look at it, if you want to call it sexy, because this guy, outwitted the, like we said earlier and on the other podcast, the porn mustache. This guy has got the footwork. I tell you, like I always call Willock Bambi. Well, this guy, I'm trying to think. Leave it with me, but I've got a name for him.
What's the skillful Bambi?
I was thinking, what's a skillful Bambi? I'm not sure. But this guy's footwork, his hold-up play, his strength, he has a kind of a lumbering. He has a bit of a lumber about him. But then he goes boom, and he's just turns on his heels and he's away. I like the fact that he's not selfish either. He doesn't go for like wasteful chances. He does look up a lot, and he does some of the highlights I've watched from the Bundesliga. He set up a lot of goals, and he's done it with his strength and finding space, and then looking for his teammates, which I like about that. Like, I mean, we all want a greedy striker to score loads of goals, but this guy has a little bit of class about him. So, like, I think, like, again, you know, might have been busy picking up stones. We've picked up a diamond here, lads. This is a diamond of a signing. This
Absolutely.
Yeah, I definitely
100%.
agree. And I've seen some like different guys on Twitter, particularly a couple of different like coaches and I suppose opinions you trust to say like this is huge, a huge signing in terms of like what this player could become, and how many different clubs were looking at him, and maybe, you know, the fact that it came out of nowhere, the fact that there was no bidding war. Maybe it was all to do with what we said earlier. Everybody just thought he was going to Bayern, and then we've kind of rushed in there. But I know he's a name that was popped up. But for me, this falls into the Sandro Tonali, even the Isak bracket of like a relatively surprise signing. That once it became public knowledge, it was done. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you want, because as soon as you're dragging things out, look at the Seshko deal. Agents are playing fucking games, other clubs get involved, and then it not only just disrupts the process and wastes people's time, particularly like whether it's Andy Howe or Steve Nixon or, you know, anyone on the board who's getting involved in transfers. They're wasting time on deals that don't get done. This one felt like it went a bit smoother. It happened like it was supposed to happen. They got the deal done, and then they could move on to the next one. Hand them over to the marketing guys. Go shoot some videos. Go ask them some questions. Job done. Move on. And that's probably a good segue to move us on. Because the thing about Voltemade here, lads, is he's not just a number 9. This guy can play alongside a striker, behind a striker. It's interesting when he was asked himself about describing his game, and he said the word technique. rather than scoring goals, rather than aggression, rather than pressing. Like he is focusing on him being a footballer, and I think that's what Isak arguably was a little bit as well. I'm not saying they're similar at all. They're probably not, but this isn't just an out-and-out number 9. This isn't an Erling Haaland type of player. This guy can do a lot more in terms of connecting strike, if there's a striker in front of him or a striker alongside him. And that probably brings us into the fact that today, lads, we signed a second striker. And this one, by contrast, seems to have taken fucking forever. Swear number 2, Krisho, another euro in the jar. You're making a fortune this week.
It's 5, actually, Paul, but okay. But it's no, just on that previous point. Did you hear the way he said technique in that German accent? Technique, like Vorsprung durch technique. Oh man, I'm telling you now. You want to call it sexy? Call it sexy.
It's like you had me at technique.
Oh, tell you what, technique, and he does have that Berbatov touch, Al, doesn't he? He has a real. The ball gets flung into him, and he's just keeps it dead, and then he's looking for his teammates. So, like, bring it on to Wissa. I mean, the Wiz. That's what I'm going to call him, the Wiz. This guy. I mean, like I said earlier, he's a plug and play player. He can just straight away come into the team against Wolves in 2 weeks' time and play a blinder, bang on at St James's Park. I've no worries about this guy whatsoever. He wants to play. He wants to be like Papa Cisse, Demba Ba, and so on. He wants to wear the number 9 jersey. I think, is he going to get it, do you think? I think he's going to get it.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. And I think he'll do it justice too. And it's a great upgrade on Wilson. He's a real acrobatic, he's a proper footballer. Like, you give him anything and he'll do something with it in the box. He's dangerous. So I'm so glad we got him. Maybe 10 million over, but so what? So what?
Yeah, I think that was like when I look at Wissa and why we clearly have been so keen on Wissa for so long. Now, similar story, Brentford probably holding out for a replacement as well. I think they got Reece Nelson over the line, or at least they were trying to on loan today. Not a direct replacement, but still can be an addition to their forward line. But I think the thing for me with Wissa is, like, as much as we're praising Voltemade and we think he's going to bang at Newcastle, there's still that element of uncertainty, that element of time, that element of a bit of risk for a big price tag, etc., etc. Wissa almost somewhat takes some of that heat off, particularly if Eddie Howe is going to like play one or both or the other, at any point when we come back from this international break, even though we've played 3 games and we're already into an international break, which is silly. I don't even know why we're talking about it. Pointless. But Wissa kind of gives Eddie Howe a bit more of a, okay, well, look, I need to be more worried about Voltamati here. Wissa knows what he's going to face when we go play Wolves or Forest or Arsenal or whoever. You know, yes, he's going to have to settle into the squad. But Wissa's 29. He's not going to need his hand being held. There's tons and tons of videos of him playing in the Premier League. He knows what he's going to do. Eddie Howe knows what he's going to do. So I think he takes a little bit of that pressure and that edge off Voltamati. And again, as we said, we'd happily throw Wissa in. We would have thrown him in the last 2 or 3 games when we had no striker. And I think that's kind of where that signing is. Just to that point, Christian and Alan, that was my question for you. 55 million is the touted price for Johan Wissa. Age 29, 1 year left on his deal. That's where people are getting a little bit like, oh, what's the story of this? Is it a case that we've overpaid considering we tried to bid about half of that about 6 weeks ago originally?
We absolutely
or do you have to
overpaid.
be conscious of the fact that like Brentford are going, lads, as soon as we sell him to you, you're getting 130 million for Isak. So go fuck yourselves.
Absolutely. That's exactly what it is. They knew that we were selling Alexander Isak and they're going, you're getting a big old pile of money. You're going to give some of that towards us. So look, £55 million is an awful lot of money. If he scores 15 goals this season and 10 next season and fires us to the Champions League 2 years in a row, that 55 million is a bargain. If he scores a goal in the Champions League final and wins the Champions League, it's a bargain. Hindsight's 2020, as I say. He could have cost us 200 million and could have worked out being a bargain, depending on what he does. Time will tell. I really do think it'll be a successful transfer, though. He's going to, as Christo said, plug and play. Going to come in, hit the ground running. Doesn't need an adjustment period, really. It might take him a couple of games to get used to the lads, but he knows where the goal is. I think him, Elanga, Gordon, Barnes, Murphy, that's looking good. That's a very, very, very quick front line.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm going to enjoy it. It's going to be great fun.
If Paul is effing, I'm sexying. So if you want to call it sexy, check this out. Elanga, Wissa, and Gordon, right? Just take Gordon out for a second. And we're talking last season and thinking, wow, we could have Elanga and Wissa in our team. I would have taken both of your hands off and said, yes, please. When do they sign? And now we do have them under a coach like Eddie Howe, breaking on teams. And honestly, he's a good finisher, right? I think he got 14 goals, was it, or more?
19 goals last year.
19 goals.
19 goals. Yeah.
This guy can finish. So if we get some good balls into him, this guy can finish head, overheads, volleys, side puts, whatever you wish. This guy can put it away. So we finally have somebody that we can count on nearly. Do you know what I mean?
And he doesn't take penalties or free kicks where you usually have players with 25 goals a season. 10 of them might be penalties. He didn't take them for Brentford. Mbuemo did. So
I was going to ask you, of Isak's goals last season, does anybody can pull that up really quickly? He scored 27 goals. Was it 10 of them or 12 of them were penalties?
It couldn't have been 12. I don't think we got 12 penalties last season. Say 7 or 8 maybe.
I hate to bring him back up again, but like Wissa scored more goals than any striker apart from.
Yeah, he was the most goals from play.
Most goals from play.
Yeah.
This is a steal, lads. Yes, it is. It's about 15 million over. Yeah, we could have got him for 35, 40 maybe, but look, it needs must. And Isak left us in a terrible situation. So we had to do what we had to do. And we hope that Big Nick turns out to be a real diamond. Like, you know, I really hope he does, because then it would really make me feel a whole lot better about watching. I mean, I'm not going to watch Liverpool, but I mean, Ekitike looks like a right plonker. So I'm sure Isak will fall right in there with all of them.
Ekitike looks very good.
He's a plonker. He's a plonker.
Didn't he get snapped? When he get caught doing something? Was he Snapchatting?
He was Snapchatting while driving. What a gobshite! And like the optics of that, fucking 6 or 8 weeks after a Liverpool player died in a car crash.
Yeah, I mean,
Snapchats while driving.
Yeah.
What And that's the stupidest thing I've seen in a long, long time. Sorry, I know that's the one word we downside, but that's what that is.
And now I have to bleep. Now I have to bleep it.
That was stupid. That was. I really, really didn't like that. It's just.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it's bad. It's very bad form of all the things. Yeah. And look, I mean, it's just another thing in terms of we look forward, not back. We wanted TK. He's now like doing silly things like that. Very good player, but the less said about that, the better, to be honest.
But
just on Wissa. Sorry, Krisha.
No, I was just going to say, have you seen Big Nick's interviews? Because they're really good. Like, he seems like a really down to earth, nice fella. You know, loves his family. They're going to come over and see him and stay with him for a little while he fits in. He seems like quite a timid but fun guy. Do you know what I mean? He's not crazy. He seems very level headed. Now, I know you say like most German people are fairly level-headed, but he seems like a really level-headed fella. He does dress a little bit weird, like, you know, Anthony Gordon on acid sometimes, but, you know, at least let's give him a shot. He's only a young lad. He's only 23, but as long as he doesn't come up dressed in a skirt, like we thought we were going to have Dominic Calvert-Lewin, I'm all right with him. It's just the characters we're getting right. I've never heard Johan Wissa in an interview. Has anyone heard him in an interview?
I haven't heard him in an
interview. He's a bit of a mad agent.
He put a statement out on Instagram the other day that I wasn't too pleased with, but when you read into it, it actually makes a hell of a lot more sense. It's all about him wanting to leave Brentford and the fact that he had in writing from the Brentford chairman that he could leave as an agreement, and they then went back on his word. He was like, "Look, I gave you everything I wanted. He's went back on your word. It's not good enough." I mean, he's gone now. He didn't stop training. He didn't play the other day, but that was because they knew he was going to be sold. Didn't want him getting injured, but he didn't down tools. It's a very different thing than what Alexander Isak done. Alexander Isak cost us arguably 9 points this season because we would have beaten, I think, all three teams that we played.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too.
He cost us big stuff. So, okay.
I was going to ask you, Alan, do you have any concerns about Wissa in terms of, like, there's a lot of people, a lot of accounts out there looking at kind of saying, well, is Wissa, Isak, what's the difference in terms of forcing a move, going on strike, Instagram, etc., etc., etc. The biggest difference, just in terms of black and white, is Wissa only has 1 year left on his deal. He is 29. Isak 3 years left on his deal, a lot younger, obviously. Money probably doesn't compare. I would imagine Isak is already on way more than Wissa was at Brentford and continues to be. But in terms of that approach, any concerns? Because on paper, at least on surface level, you might say, well, this lad behaved the same as Isak. We're all causing Isak a rat, but we're not calling Wissa a rat. Discuss.
The statement that Isak put up the night of the PFA Awards, where he was like, I was told I could leave. And 5 minutes later, the club came out and said, we never told you could leave. What are you shiting about? Wissa came out and said, I was told I could leave. And Brentford sat on their hands. That is the major difference. Isak was never told he could leave. Wissa was told he could leave. Yes, Isak was told he could have a new contract. Didn't happen. Big baldy Phil, Paul, Mitchell, whatever the hell you want to call him, did an awful lot of damage. But he was never told he could leave. So he went on strike. Wissa said, I'm going to hold you to your word more than that else. Look, he didn't go about it the right way. And let's not sugarcoat it. He didn't go about it the right way. And it's not great optics looking at in from the outside. But it's a little bit different. It's tough. It's tough. But look, regardless who it is, once they pull on that black and white jersey, I'm going to support them regardless what they've done. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's less ratish, Paul. I don't know. He nibbled at the drain pipe. He didn't run up it. Isak ran up it, and now he's ended up in the gutter. And, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm going to be honest with everybody who listens to us. I'm just not going to watch him on the TV, in interviews, in highlights or anything. I'm just going to turn them off. So it actually gives me a reason to turn Liverpool off, because I don't want to watch them. And I'd rather not see Isak celebrating with Van Dijk and, in front of the cop and all that. I'm just going to go off or mute or just not look at it at all until maybe next season when I get over it and we can get a chance at St. James's Park to rattle the hell out of him. But I can't this season. It's going to be far too painful to watch it. But Al's right. Wissa, less ratish. He had a gentleman's agreement. Brentford never came back out and said, no, you didn't, because they knew he did, because it was in writing. And at least they, and supposedly he drove up to Newcastle himself today. He was like...
And he didn't go on Snapchat. Fair play to him. What a man. No, I agree. I think like there are elements of similar to it, but there's also, I think, some different circumstances. And I think the other thing here is like, I think he knew he was in a very difficult situation with because if he's sitting there going, look, this is my one chance at a very big move to a very big club to make a fuckload of money. It's another swear for you there, Chris Shaw. I'm going to stop. He probably was looking at it going, I might not get this opportunity if I don't go and score 15 goals for Brentford this season. And also he was fully aware that his buddy Brian Mbeumo has already gone off to Man Red. He knew how difficult it was going to be for Brentford to let him go. So, I think there's an argument to be made that his reasons are a bit more not noble or honorable, but at least acceptable to an extent. But he's still going to have to do a lot, I suppose, to earn the love of the Geordie faithful. But usually it starts with putting on the jersey, which Isak wouldn't even do either. So we'll take that indeed.
Number 9, Paul. As soon as he puts on the number 9 jersey, the whole city will get behind him. They'll want him,
in fairness,
to score every game, basically, which I think he might. I think we might have a nice surprise on our hands, lads.
Fingers crossed, lads, because that's 2 strikers, in addition to Malik Chow, in addition to Jacob Ramsey as well, and in addition to Anthony Elanga. Just on the deadline day talk, lads, seeing as that window is now closed, there was a lot of talk, Alan Williamson, about a certain Will Osula. First of all, being linked with Aston Villa, which completely took me by surprise.
Yeah.
Would be very hard to believe. But then a more concrete link to Eintracht Frankfurt, bar what I thought to be an extravagant fee, which was reported to be 28-30 million for a player we spent 15 million on whenever it was, like, let's call it more than a year ago.
Yeah.
And a player who's scored a very small handful of goals for us, and particularly more recently hasn't looked great. That deal apparently has collapsed, Al, right? But what were your thoughts on Osula leaving?
I thought it would have left us very, very, very short. Although 30 million for a player we signed for 15 million 2 seasons ago or a season and a half ago, it would have been very hard to turn down that money. But it would have left us very short. So I'm happy he stayed. He's still very, very raw, but I would have liked to see him go, because supposedly we had the option of a buyback. And that would have been great, because I do think Osula needs to play week in, week out to get to where he could potentially get to. But the last couple of weeks looking at him, he is just so raw. He is a bit of a headless chicken. He's constantly putting his hands on defenders' backs. He's constantly tugging out of players, and you're going, get that out of your game. If you don't get that out of your game, you're not going to reach the levels you could potentially reach. I think even Eddie Howe kind of went, I might be at my wit's end with this kid. He just will not listen to me. He's like a Labrador. He's just so excited to get the ball at his feet and just wants to constantly run with it and play with it. And you're going, calm down.
Drop.
If he could take a step back and relax for a second, I think he'd be a much, much better player. But I don't think he's going to get that until he plays week in, week out constantly. I can't see him doing that with us, unfortunately.
Krisho, is there a touch of the Joe Lintons about Will Osula in terms of when Joe Linton first signed for Newcastle, just not fitting in the right position, making mistakes, maybe just not good enough to be a finisher or a scorer of goals? Or do you think Osula actually, he is a forward, he is a striker, just needs that time, that training, or he's just not good enough?
What age did we sign him in again? He was 18, was he? Or was he 18 when we signed him, and he's 20 now?
Osula was probably 9. I want to say 19 or 20 when he signed.
21. I love the crack. I love the smiles. I love how well he gets on with everybody. I love him in the videos. I love everything, right? But Al is right. He's too young. He's too immature. I think they've tried to coach out his bad habits and it hasn't worked. He has given him a chance. He's talked about him in press conferences. He's put him in a starting lineup of a Premier League game, and he hasn't followed his directions. That's why Jacob Murphy, who's a considerably average football player, still gets his game at Newcastle United, because he follows instruction. and he does what he's coached to do. Will Asula is just too raw. He's too bandy-legged. He's too arms and elbows. He's not right for us. He's not right for our style of play. And I'm not surprised that we were like inches away from getting a big ton of money for him today, because I don't see anywhere where, like, is he going to sit on the bench and then play against Wimbledon in the third round of the Carabao Cup or Bradford City and maybe get on for 20 minutes? What's the point? Why don't you go somewhere where you can get a first team and become the player? So I really hope they revisit this in January and do sell him with a buyback clause, because Al, I think you're right. I think in 3 or 4 years' time, this guy will be he'll be worth a lot of money.
He has to play though.
He has to play, yeah. I don't know where, left-hand side. I don't know about Paul. I don't know. You see him as a striker. I don't see him as a centre forward. I just don't. In any of the times I've seen him play, I don't know where he plays.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think there's just a general fear consensus that he may just not be good enough. And we signed him at a time when we needed someone in. Fee was okay. Eddie Howe was like, maybe there's a chance here I can do something with him, but I think there's ability there. I just have a fear over mentality and over decision making and fouling and not making the right decisions and not making the right runs. And I could probably carry on. And that's mainly just based on the Leeds game, which I've decided, lads, I don't even want to talk about this evening because it was 0-0 and it was shite.
It was boring.
So
it was
we're just not going to talk about it.
It's the second worst game of football I've ever seen, followed by that Celtic and Rangers game, both in the same weekend. Absolutely awful.
So awful. Both of them. Sean Longstaff was the man of the match. That says everything.
I know.
That says everything.
You knew it was going to happen. Normally, like in a normal Newcastle United world, he scores as well against his old club, the way Minta does, and etc. But thankfully, that didn't happen.
Just say one thing on it. So one of my mates sent me a message. He's like, "Is they're going to lose 2-0," and one of my other mates replied to that comment and goes, "That's not going to happen because there need to be a shot on target in this match for either team to score." And I just went, "This is fucking awful, lads." I was like, "This is the worst game of football I've ever seen since earlier today when I watched that the Rangers game." But it was pathetic.
But Al, it was nice to be down to Bleecker Street. It was nice to be down with. There was new members there, Paul. There's new people there. Very nice to meet everybody, and I'm glad they had a nice time. Yeah, we were effing and jeffing a little bit too much, possibly, but you know, it was a dreadful football match. But I think that meant that me and Al had an extra 1 or 2 points. It was so dreadful. Like we just had to keep drinking because we didn't know what else to do. It was awful.
Look at football, bringing people together. Extra pint. What more do you want? Yeah, because we had I know we had 4 meetups I think last week.
We did.
Dublin and Thurles and Ennis as well. So the more of them we can get, the better. Photos, if they're not already in, I've put some of them up on the website already. So make sure, lads, go over and check out your beautiful faces on those photographs, even if they aren't as smiley as we'd like them to be. Lads, we're at the end of the show, and because I want to finish in a positive, it's been a positive enough day. It's the end of the Alexander Isak saga of shit. I want to do something we've not done on this podcast for a little while. And seeing as you were just telling me how well you were getting on in the Bleecker Street bar, I've now decided to put an end to that and pitch you against one another in what used to be known as the Irish Magstermind quiz around here, because I have a quiz to end your happy little relationship, lads. So, as we mentioned, we expect Johan Wissa to be Newcastle United's new number 9 on that jersey. If people do want to get one printed, maybe wait just to make sure. So, simple enough, lads. I'm just going to go over and back between you. I want to see how many of Newcastle United's former number 9s you can name. And Krisho, just because of the history of quizzes on this show, you get to go first.
Okay, can I go first, right? Honestly, Obafemi Martins.
Obafemi Martins is correct. From 06-07 to 08-09, he wore the number 9 shirt. Alan?
I'm going to go with the man that's actually behind me, just over my shoulder there. It's Alan Shearer.
How did he get into your bedroom? Never mind.
I don't know.
Alan Shearer is correct, from 96-97 season all the way through to 05-06. Correct, Krisho?
Andy Carroll.
Andy Carroll. Only for one season, which was the 10-11 season. I assume, did he go to Liverpool after that then? That's how long ago that was, which is alarming in terms of age. But anyway, correct. A point on the board, Krisho.
Yeah,
Alan.
Dwight Gale.
Dwight Gale. From 2016 to 2018 is correct. That puts a 2-2 on the board, Chris Shaw.
Super Mac.
Super Mac Malcolm McDonald is correct. I'm just checking to see if he had more than one, but he had it from 1971 through to 1976. So that is correct. Alan.
Alan Wilson.
Callum Wilson, the last number 9 for Newcastle United from 2021 to 2025. Correct. 3-3, Chris Shaw.
Les Ferdinand, because he had to give it to Alan Shearer.
He certainly did have to give it to Alan Shearer because he had it on at the start of the 95-96 season and he had it on at the end of the 95-96 season, but that was the only season he did wear the number 9 shirt. So you are correct. 4-3, Alan.
The man who gave it to Callum Wilson, Joelinton.
Joelinton is correct. Was given the number 9 in 2019 all the way up until 2021. Correct. 4-4.
Here's my nightmares. Mickey Quinn.
Oh, show.
Mickey Quinn.
Great show.
Scanning my list because it's not listed. It's kind of messy on the screen here. I need to check if he's in this list, Chris Shaw, because I have my doubts.
He must be. Was he sure?
He was number 9. He was number 9 for us.
I can tell you.
Was he 10?
He's not showing up on my list here.
Oh, you gotta be joking.
I don't, Chris Shaw, I don't see him on my list here. I'll have to do some further research, but I have it here according to Transfer Market, who have a bunch of number 9s listed here, but I'm not seeing Mickey Quinn.
Oh, Christ. Mickey Quinn wore the number 9 shirt for Newcastle United in the 1989 and 1990 season.
Okay, I'll give it to you. For some reason, it's not showing up here. We'll have to have words with Transfer Market because it couldn't be my fault. So we'll give you a point, Christian. We'll take your word for it.
Yes.
Don't know why he's not showing on that list. Everybody else is. Over to you, Alan.
I'm going to go with a shout that I'm not actually sure about.
Yes. Maybe I'll win. Yes.
Solomon Rondon.
Solomon Rondon.
He never wore number 9. He never wore
number 9.
Solomon Rondon in the 2018-2019 season for Newcastle United wore the number 9 jersey.
No, yeah, on loan. He was on loan and it's number 9 for us, yeah.
Good shout. Solomon Rondon is correct. Right. It's 5-5, Chris Shaw. Sudden death.
The player I revered when I was a footballer myself, Andy Cole.
Andy Cole from 1993 to 1995 is correct. That gets Chris Shaw a 6-5 lead, Alan. No pressure, but if you miss.
Papi Cisse was number 9 for facts.
Papi Demba Cisse. 2011 to 2016 was number 9 for Newcastle. That puts the scores level at 6 apiece, Chris Shaw.
Hang on. Jackie Milburn.
Jackie Milburn.
We're kind of going into territory where...
You're like, hang on a second. Hang on. No, all right.
From 1950 to 1952, when we were all watching football, it's correct. Jackie Milburn gets Chris Shaw a point and makes it 7.
I've only got one more, so I don't know.
I don't even know if they had numbers when this player played for us. Wyn Davies.
Wyn Davies.
Yeah.
From 1966 to 1971, Wyn Davies did wear the number 9.
I'm tapped out now. I'm like pulling players out of my arse now. I am. Fuck that.
Oh,
it's a shout.
Is it David Kelly?
David Kelly, an Irish mag, if you will, in the 91-92 season, did wear the number 9 jersey, and it's 7-6 to Chris Shaw in sudden death.
Yes.
Oh,
I thought he wore number 10. Oh my God.
Alan Williamson, are you due to lose a quiz, or can?
Oh, please.
Strike?
Jesus.
Can he strike to level?
I'm actually I'm just gonna have to pull a striker out. Mirandinha.
He wore number 10. He wore number 10. He definitely wore number 10.
I can tell you, Mirandinha wore the number 10 in 1987-88, but wore the number 9 for the season that preceded.
Yes.
And it is back to level scores, lads. 7-7, I think. Over to you, Chris.
Because we've kind of done all the 50s, 60s, 70s.
You haven't done them all.
80s, Mickey Quinn, David Kelly. It's more like the early 80 period, 80 to 85. That's where I'm kind of drawing a blank here. And then we've already done Andy Cole. Alan Shearer had it for 10 years. Then it was handed back and forth.
I'm going to have to push you for an answer.
De Jong.
You're going for Luke De Jong, CM De Jong? Yeah. Did they both play for us, actually?
Yes, they both played for us.
Luke De Jong.
One of them wore 27, I think. CM wore 27, I think. I can
tell you that neither of them wore number 9 for Newcastle United, Chris Shaw, unfortunately. So, Alan Williamson. If he gets it wrong, Chris Shaw, we'll end it in a draw, and I might throw you one for a clue. Anything, Alan?
Pulling stuff out my arse. Did Shola Amiobi wear it for a season in the Championship?
If he did, that's ridiculous.
I can tell you that Shola Amiobi in the 2001-2002 season,
it's a Champions League year,
according to Transfer Market, wore the number 9 jersey for Newcastle United.
I don't believe that.
According to Transfer Market,
I don't believe that.
Why did you guess it then?
I thought you wore it in one of the years in the Championship. But
what I have here on the Transfer Market list, which usually doesn't lie to us, lads, I'm looking it up now just to verify. I can tell you that it does verify that he wore it. It is Transfer Market again on the Shola Amiobi's individual page. It does say that in the 01-02 season, at some point, he wore the number 9 kit.
Shearer played for us in 01-02. Like where? He did not. He did not wear the number 9 jersey. His squad number was number 9. He never actually ever wore a competitive match number 9.
Guess what? I win, you lose. By pulling that out there.
I mean, the Mickey Quinn thing is also thrown up because for some reason he's not showing on this list, even though other sources say he does. So, lads, we'll call it a draw.
Let's call it a draw because no, Shola Amiobi never wore.
Seeing as you two are getting on so well.
Did Chris Waddle wear it?
Other options you could have had: Chris Waddle was an option. Kevin Keegan, 83-84. Paul Gardard, another one you might have known as well.
Paul Gardard.
There's been a few over the years.
Here, dude.
But overall, you've done well. Give yourselves a pat in the back.
How did we forget Keegan?
I thought Keegan was 7. I thought Keegan was 7 for Liverpool and Newcastle.
We don't say the word Liverpool anymore. We hate them.
Yeah. Come here. It is what it is.
What do we call them?
Well, lads,
you're now on. What do we call them
dippers.
now on? Bin dippers.
Bin dippers.
Skip dwellers.
Skip dwellers. Well, look, lads, I'm happy to say we'll call it a draw. Leave your little happy relationship intact so you can enjoy more points at the next meetup, which will be in a few weeks because we are entering international break. So we won't be previewing any game. That'll be done on next week's podcast. So in the meantime, the window is closed. Let's all relax, sit back, go out for a walk, breathe some fresh air, have a drink somewhere, watch a movie, have a lie down, all of the above. Because the window is closed and we can settle down for a few more months at least. And we can all gear up to see how these new players are going to go. And if you're going to do something useful over the international window, keep an eye on Germany's games because a certain Nick Voltemade might just be up front because it looks like it's between him and Nicholas Fulkrug. And I know who I'd be going for.
Yes.
Well,
right.
Yeah. Movie recommendations. Irish Mag movie recommendations. Happy Gilmore 2.
Irish Mag.
Yeah. Very funny film.
Everyone
very funny film.
Everyone should see Happy Gilmore 2 because it's
very good.
It's how a sequel should be made and how a callback movie should be made. It's brilliant. It's absolutely sensational. Watch it.
I'm not going to disagree with that. I enjoyed Happy Gilmore 1. I haven't seen Happy Gilmore 2, so I'm going to go
Right.
and potentially watch that now shortly because
Enjoy.
I need to do something that isn't football or Newcastle
Yeah.
for about
Yeah.
90 minutes. As I said, might open a glass of red wine with that, Christian. Thank you for the recommendation.
Pleasure.
Folks, listeners, viewers, thank you very much for tuning in this week. Thank you to Alan and Christian for joining me again. We will be back for more Irish Madness next week. So until then, keep an eye on all the socials, which are down below, as well as the irishmags.com website. A lot of talk around the Champions League fixtures that are out. We did preview that on last week's episode in terms of our opponents. There are travel plans being made. There are trips to Brussels and Leverkusen and Paris and Marseille.
Yes.
For those who are brave.
There will be Irish mags at all games.
Wow.
All over the shop and everywhere. So yes, do get in touch with us if you have any queries about traveling or logistics, or if you're not in any of the groups that you need to be in, let us know. Until then, we'll say the usual, lads. How are the lads? Slán go fóill. The transfer window is closed, but we'll see you all next week.
Slán a bhaile.
Say goodbye,
Thanks,
lads.
pal.
Good luck,
Good
good
lads.
luck, good luck, good luck, good luck.